May 19th, 2016, 10:59 a.m. My heart is yours. I did grow up in a Christian home, and it was one of those really wonderful Christian homes where my parents were raised in a Christian home as well, and so I had a really sweet childhood when it came to going to church, and I went to a Christian school that was attached to the church, and I went to Awana every Wednesday night. It was that sort of thing where I was surrounded by a Christian atmosphere. You know, I don't think I was okay with being a sinner. I think that the idea of sinner was something that I didn't want that to be me, and I didn't want that to be labeled as me because I wanted to be good. And that is what really drove these struggles that I had with, you know, control and with perfection, with vanity. It actually led to this weird battle with food, where for years I would cope with overeating, and so I became very overweight in middle school and in early high school, and it was almost like this: when I didn't feel perfect enough, I would go to food, that kind of thing. And one day something just switched in my brain to where I wanted to appear perfect, which actually led to an eating disorder. And that was more of a desire to just gain control over my life. So there's just these overlapping of things of wanting to be perfect, and then this coping with stress because I'm not perfect, and then this control that I really wanted because, again, I'm not perfect. I remember after my freshman year of college, I was sitting in my room one day back in Fishersville, Virginia, and I was looking out at just the gorgeous green pastures that we lived on, these rolling hills and these gorgeous puffy white clouds and blue sky, and I had set up a card table in my bedroom so I could have a desk because I didn't have a desk, and I was reading my Bible, and I was reading Romans 5, 1 through 5, and I don't know what it was, but God just really broke my pride that day, and through that passage, which isn't even really about pride, it's more so about the Father's love for me, it just broke something in me that made me understand perfection is not attainable. I am indeed a sinner, and that's not something I can escape or even put on a facade to make people think I'm not a sinner. I am one. And then just this idea of God pouring his love into our hearts so that we can pour it out to other people through his Spirit. It was just all this stuff where I was like, what have I been doing with my life? And I remember just sitting there weeping on the floor of my room because I realized that I had just been living in so much sickness and sin, and really temporal things, thinking that I was doing what is good and doing what is righteous, and I really had this idea in my brain that I was okay, and in that moment God made me really understand that I'm not okay, and that I desperately need the gospel. I desperately need Jesus and his love. And it's just really sweet because I think my whole life up until that moment I had this perspective that God wanted me to be my best, and he wanted me to be this perfect child. And in that moment, when I'm crying on the floor, really understanding I'm not this perfect child, it wasn't like God was saying, Olivia, I told you so, or Olivia, that's pathetic because you've been thinking this way. It was just this thing where I felt like God just hugged me and reminded me, I love you so much, and you are a sinner. But that's why Christ came. That's why we have the gospel, to save us from our detriment and to save us from our destruction that we do to ourselves. And it was this really beautiful moment of just my pride really being broken. I was on the phone with my dad one day, and I was like, Dad, I think I want to try graphic design. Honestly, I believe that the Lord just really laid this path before me, and I truly had no idea it was on the radar at all. It just was one of those weird things where it kind of just happened. Even though I wasn't doing great in a class, I was like, no, I'm gonna keep doing it because I enjoy it. And there's always this joy of getting to create something, even if it looked like trash. I really loved it. The first attribute we see of God in Scripture is that He created. You know, Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created. And I think it's such a cool thing that He allows us to create, because it truly is a reflection of His image, especially to make beautiful things. Like, God has made so many beautiful things, and that is so cool that He lets us reflect Him in that manner, because I enjoy it and I think it's fun.